What's up everybody, I'm HoopsandHipHop, and today I have decided to take on one of the most difficult tasks as a Pokemon fan, and that would be ranking all of the main series games. The interesting thing about these lists is that with all of the different flavors and styles that Pokemon has given us over the years, these lists are going to be pretty unique for pretty much everyone, and there were certainly a few picks on this list that surprised me as well. I know that Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are going to be released in just a few months, but seeing as how they're kind of in a gray area between main series and spin-off, I figured now was just as good of a time as any to make this video. So with all of that being said, let's just go ahead and check it out. Here is my list of every main series Pokemon game ranked worst to best. Okay, so including remakes and whatnot, there's going to be 11 entries on this list, and starting things off on the lower end of the list at number 11 is Black and White. The Unova region as a whole was solid, and Black and White obviously has one of the best stories in any Pokemon game. However, when we're talking about Generation 5, it always comes down to the Pokemon, because obviously the Dex is one of the biggest parts of any Pokemon game. And in particular, this game, it means even more because you only have Unova Pokemon in the main story, and well, the Unova Pokemon are very, very hit and miss in my opinion. With the Pokémon unsurprisingly being the center focus of the game, it's kind of really hard to enjoy it when you're so uncomfortable, for lack of a better word, with the Pokémon you have to choose from. And since there weren't any Pokémon from other regions until you got to the post-game, you were forced to use Unova Pokémon, and while granted there are some great Unova Pokemon out there, I'm not trying to say they're all bad, but I definitely had to use some Pokemon that I wouldn't have normally used under any other circumstance, and it just made me not enjoy the games as much. Next up at number 10 would be the original Red, Blue, and Yellow. Now, while I really do like the original Pokemon games, I feel like they kind of had to be on the lower end of the list by default, because it's just a fact that as we've gone on and Game Freak has given us more games, those games have improved upon mechanics and things have gotten better and better over time. So by default, the original first game, by comparison, isn't gonna be as good. Obviously, the graphics have improved a ton, which makes newer games a whole lot more enjoyable. The mechanics are a lot more polished and aren't quite as broken as they were in the original games. And obviously, with better technology and a bigger budget for future Pokemon games than the original games had, they were able to incorporate more features and stuff that these games just do not have because, of course, they were the originals. Now, this next pick was a very tough pick because I really feel like I enjoyed these games more than just the number 9 spot. However, when it came down to it, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald ultimately fell into this position. So even though there's not anything bad about Ruby and Sapphire by any means, there are some other things in the other Pokemon games that I just flat out like more. While Hoenn is a really good region and I really do enjoy it, it's not my favorite by any means because I tend to prefer Kalos and Sinnoh, for instance, and so a more tropical region like Hoenn tends to kind of come second to those. And while I hate to give the benefit of the doubt to newer games just because they had better technology to work with, I can't deny that that better technology allowed Game Freak to introduce features into those newer games that just were so freaking awesome, and unfortunately Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald just kinda didn't have that. Next on the list at number 8 is going to be Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and when it comes to taking advantage of technology like I mentioned with the Ruby and Sapphire pick, Sun and Moon is exactly what I'm talking about. In comparison to Generation 3, Generation 7 is obviously very similar in terms of its aesthetic. Hoenn and Alola are obviously very tropical regions that have a very similar climate and geography and look and feel to them, and also on top of that, their Pokedexes reflect this as well, and they kind of have the similar tropical feel type of Pokemon to them. So with that in mind, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald and Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon are pretty much neck and neck, but the thing that puts Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon ahead for me is the really cool features it introduced, namely Alola Forms. Alola Forms were a monumentally amazing feature that were introduced in Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon, and were really the saving grace of Generation 7 as a whole. And with cool things like that, as well as Team Rainbow Rocket for instance, it just gave Sun and Moon the leg up over the previous games on this list. However, Sun and Moon do have a lot of things to them that I do not enjoy, namely trials among other things, so that's why it's still on the lower portion of my list. And wouldn't you know it, at number 7 is going to be a very similar conversation to the one we just had, because at the number 7 slot for me is Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Like I mentioned, the reason why I put Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon ahead of Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald were simply because of the features that it had thanks to the added technology. However, when it comes to region and mechanics and overall experience, I prefer the Hoenn games more, and that's why I'm putting Oraz above Sun and Moon, because Oraz obviously has the technology to compete with the features of Sun and Moon, but it also has the Hoenn region, which I prefer more, so it's really the best of both worlds in terms of this argument. Smack dab in the middle at number 6 is going to be Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, and this is where the region factor really comes into play for me. As I mentioned with the Ruby and Sapphire pick, I much prefer regions such as Sinnoh that are rocky, rugged, rural, and mountainous to the tropical-esque regions like Hoenn and Alola, so that's what gives Diamond and Pearl a huge step up right off the bat. On top of this, Generation 4 is just kind of the generation that I really enjoy, where the region is the type of region that I like, and they also do what I like with the Pokédex as well, where they have lots of cool new Pokemon, but then they introduce Pokemon that are evolutions and pre-evolutions of previous Pokemon, and they kind of just give that flavor to it, and I just absolutely love when they do that. So that's another huge point for Sinnoh. However, the one thing that detracts Diamond and Pearl a little bit for me is that they were really slow games. I know that Platinum fixed this, but I personally played Pearl for the first time, and that first impression of just playing Pearl and having the games chug along so slowly really made an impression on me, and that impression has stuck with me to this day and really does make me hesitant to go back and play those games again, even though I do really like them. Okay, now we have entered into the top 5, and this next one is actually one that I thought would be a little bit higher, but it ended up at number 5, and that would be Black and White 2. Now, basically everything that I mentioned with Black and White as a negative was fixed in Black and White 2 and then some, because everything about this game is just so well-rounded and polished. You've got an amazing region with several new areas that really makes it feel like a new game. You've obviously got the Pokédex and the Pokemon that are available that is fixed, because you can now catch Pokemon from other generations in the main story. You've also got an incredible story on top of that, and that was actually one of the main selling points of the original Black and White, but Black and White 2 have a great story as well, and they've also got a ton of great new features such as the Pokemon World Tournament and different things like that. Coming in at number 4 for me is X and Y, and I feel like I'm going to get a lot of people hating on the fact that I'm ranking X and Y above Black and White 2, but I have my reasons. While there are things that Black and White 2 does better than X and Y, like difficulty and story, I just really prefer the aesthetic, if you will, of X and Y. I absolutely love the region, I love the geography, I love the culture, I just really love everything about it, so X and Y gets a point there. I also love the Pokemon infinitely better than I love the Pokemon in Generation 5. In fact, I think that Generation 6 currently has the best overall quality of Pokemon so far that we've seen out of any of the generations, and obviously it's got its own mechanics as well that are awesome, such as Mega Evolution. So while yes, I do recognize that X and Y have their flaws, it seems like the games were almost tailor-made for me in terms of what they introduced. Everything from the region to the Pokemon to the features are really my type of flavor, if you will, and I just really love it, even if it is hated on by other people, so I had to put it at number 4. Coming in at number 3 are the OG games that introduced my favorite region as of right now, and that would be Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Even though Gold and Silver are Generation 2, so they are kind of still on the primitive side of the Pokemon spectrum, they really are the ultimate Pokemon games in terms of just having every feature almost that you could possibly ask for. Number 1, the region is great. The Johto region is absolutely beautiful. It's got a lot of really cool landmarks, and I absolutely love that it has a focus on history, because I personally really love history, and I love learning about the history of the Pokemon world. Number 2, the Johto Pokédex is absolutely phenomenal. You have many classic Pokemon like Celebi, Lugia, Ho-Oh, Tyranitar. Number 3, it blended new and old so well by introducing new things that made you excited to play the game, but then it also featured old things that you were probably familiar with if you had played the original Red, Blue, and Yellow, like Team Rocket, Kanto obviously, and of course, Red. Getting to battle Red was such a phenomenal thing. It's probably still the greatest single moment in any Pokemon game for me because I was just awestruck when it happened for the first time. However, we're only at number 3, so we've still got 2 games that I actually like more than Gold and Silver, so let's go ahead and find out what they are. At number 2 is the big surprise for me on this list because I did not plan on this game being in this position at all, but when I thought about it, I really do love it so much, and that would be Fire Red and Leaf Green. Just like Black and White 2 were the saving grace of Black and White for me, Fire Red and Leaf Green are the saving grace of Red, Blue, and Yellow because like I said, even though they're not bad games, they're very primitive and they didn't do a lot of things as well as future games because future games had the opportunity to learn and grow from Red, Blue, and Yellow. And that is exactly what Fire Red and Leaf Green did. It took the Kanto region, the Kanto setting, everything about Generation 1, which was all really solid and good, and made it actually kind of playable in a sense where the graphics were updated, which made it that much more enjoyable, the sound quality, the music was updated, the mechanics were updated and fixed and improved, and just everything was made so much better, and it was all brought up to date. The other major thing that really shot Fire Red and Leaf Green up to the top of this list were the Sevi Islands. Aside from Kanto being in Gold and Silver, the Sevi Islands are the greatest bit of post-game that we have ever seen, in my opinion, in a Pokemon game because it actually added substantial content. Not only did you get a ton of new areas, but you got several hours of new gameplay that was actually story related, and it wasn't just battle these people, go battle in a battle tower, something like that. It was actually contributing to the storyline of the Pokemon games, and I just eat that stuff up as a Pokemon fan. And number 1, you might have been expecting if you have followed the channel for very long, but nevertheless, my favorite games in the main series are Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I am definitely with the majority of Pokemon fans who believe that Heart Gold and Soul Silver are the greatest Pokemon games to date, and nothing has really even come close to challenging them. We already talked about what I love about Gold and Silver, and so obviously everything from there is going to carry over into what I love about Heart Gold and Soul Silver. But with Heart Gold and Soul Silver being remakes, they obviously improved a ton of stuff and essentially just shot themselves into the stratosphere and made what is practically the perfect Pokemon game. It's the attention to detail and adding literally every awesome feature imaginable that makes Heart Gold and Soul Silver so special, because we really haven't seen another Pokemon game do this where they really just pull out all of the stops and add every single thing that you could possibly think of into one game. We haven't seen it before and we haven't seen it since, in my opinion, and I really hope we do because I would really love to see a Pokemon game that challenges Heart Gold and Soul Silver as the greatest Pokemon game, but up until now, we have not seen that because Heart Gold and Soul Silver, to me, are easily the best Pokemon games of all time. And there it is, everyone. Now, if you're a longtime fan of the channel, you probably weren't too surprised to see Heart Gold and Soul Silver as my favorite games. However, I was genuinely surprised to see Fire Red and Leaf Green climb so high on my list, and that just makes me that much more excited for Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. If you guys enjoyed the video though, be sure to leave a like because it really helps out, and let me know in the comments below what you thought of my rankings, and please leave your own rankings in the comments below as well, because I would love to hear what you guys have to say. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe because I upload new content every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and be sure to check out my Spotify as well if you like Pokemon remixes, because we're actually going to be doing a Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee giveaway over there if I can hit 1,500 followers and 6,000 monthly listeners by the time the games come out, so I would really love to do that, and I feel like you might like some Pokemon music. I don't know, just a guess. With all that being said though, I will be back on Thursday for another video, so you guys have a wonderful Tuesday and Wednesday, and until then, as always, I will smell you guys later.